I'm Mary Berry, and in this series I'll be celebrating the very best of my everyday cooking. Day-to-day cooking needn't be mundane. Even the simplest recipes can be a joy. I want to show you easy ways to transform dishes into something really special. From my indulgent and delicious ideas.
It's sheer heaven on a plate.
To my hearty and wholesome delights.
Wow, look at that.
And some old and new ways to excite the family.
Granny's lost her goat.
In this programme, my everyday recipes that really take me back to my childhood.
I think my mum will be looking down and thinking, well, that was quite a good idea.
There's nowhere that inspires my cooking more than Scotland. That's because it was the birthplace of my mother, so I think of myself as half Scottish. And for me, the place is filled with delicious memories. I've spent many wonderful times up here, and I just love this wild and beautiful landscape and the odd drop of rain. My Scots heritage has shaped a lot of my cooking. So in this programme, I want to share some of my best loved and most cooked dishes and show you how to make the most of them. A wonderful classic made with a delicious Highland twist, along with my secret to spruce up glorious veg. A fish supper that adds a bit of zing to an old favourite. And a Scots-inspired pud that brings back sweet memories. But first, a trip down memory lane for a cosy dish inspired by my mother.
What could be more everyday than eggs and bacon? The smell alone as you come in the kitchen of frying bacon just reminds me of my childhood. So I'm going to make something a little bit different with bacon this time, rosti.
I'm going to elevate the old bacon and egg combo, because in this dish, eggs rest on a delicious bacon rosti.
Nowadays, bacon nearly always comes without the rind, but I can remember in childhood we had the bacon rinds and they were taken off and fried in the pan first, and then all the extra fat was used for frying eggs and things.
Start by frying the bacon until every bit is deliciously crisp.
Gosh, this smells good. That looks so tempting. I could eat it right now, let alone using it for rosti.
Pop a thinly sliced onion into the bacon fat.
Just add flavour to so many things. I don't know where we'd be without them. I'm going to leave the lid on that so it cooks in its own steam. And I'm going on to do the potatoes.
Coarsely grate 3 floury potatoes, and I'll show you the secret behind a really crisp rosti. Get rid of all that starchy water.
So take a tea towel, and you can see already it is all really, really wet. Take that by all 4 corners, and I'm going to squeeze it so that all the liquid comes out. That's it.
Once that's done, add those lovely fried onions and the bacon and season it.
I can smell the bacon coming up now. It just is such a lovely memory. Do you know, some of the simplest things are the best and also very inexpensive. A couple of rashers of bacon, potato, onion and eggs on top. That's it, all done. So I'm using the same frying pan. I'm going to add a little more oil. Then I'm going to tip that in, so there it goes. Now the next thing you have to do is to press it down, because it's really a potato cake. So there are no gaps, so it all clings together. And because this is freshly grated, the starch is holding it all together. And it's a wonderful dish, which is so simple to make.
It just needs a few minutes to cook on a medium heat. The delicious smells really take me back to my childhood.
Things were short when I was young because it was sort of the end of the war, and we kept goats for milk and we had a pig. And we never became attached to the pig. It was very much that we knew that we were going to eat it, and we shared it with neighbours. And all the bits and bobs that were left, Dad used to make sausages. Well, it was a great treat to have real pork sausages.
Once the rosti is crisp and golden, turn it out so you can cook the other side. And what could finish it off better than fried eggs?
And now to bring it all together. There you have it, rosti with fried eggs on the top. That's just the sort of meal that I like when I'm really hungry. So I'm going to get stuck in. It is absolutely delectable, delicious, wonderful. I'm in for another slice.
I adore my bacon and eggs, but my mother's Scottish childhood made her a great fan of all things from the sea, and I'm just the same. I've come right up to Ullapool, a famous fishing port on the northwest coast of Scotland, to meet Kirsty, who gets the pick of the local catch for her seafood shack.
Hello, you must be Kirsty.
I am. Very nice to meet you.
All the locals have said the one place to come to is here. And
Thank
I'm
you
right
very
there.
much.
And you look what you've got, lobster, scallops.
Oh.
The one thing that I've no idea what it is spiny. What is it?
So that is a spiny or a squat lobster. They're very, very cheap for us to get in because there's no market for them. They don't actually keep, so it's an everyday thing here for us.
Every day for you, but not for me.
Well, yeah, exactly. But if you like, I'll show you if you want to come in.
Well, I'll bring my new friend and you can tell me all about it.
Yeah.
I'm always happy to learn a new trick or two about cooking seafood. Kirsty serves these squat lobster like popcorn. How lucky I am to taste.
So we would normally have them with a wee bit of garlic mayonnaise and some salt and pepper, and that's all you need.
Here it goes.
Yeah. What do you think?
Just wait a minute, I haven't got there yet. Absolutely delicious.
Oh, good.
It's so beautiful here. I mean, looking out at those hills.
Oh, I know, isn't
and
it?
I bet you can see the boats coming in
You
the
can,
morning.
yeah, we can see the boats all coming in the morning, it's great. And my partner Josh is a fisherman, which is great because every morning he'll come in with a whole load of spinies, I'll go down to the pier, see what he's got, and then we'll cook them for that day and they're sold.
The reason shellfish are so good up here is because of the clean, cold waters. I'm dying to see what Josh has caught so we can cook some straight from the sea.
Gosh, is this the catch of the day?
It is indeed. I was out this morning, nice and early.
These are langoustine.
So, exactly. We've got real nice condition langoustines here, a delicacy on the west coast. And yeah, these are caught with the creels we're seeing up here. Along the bottom, in the mud, this is where these guys like to live, in the burrows. And actually having a peek.
Hey, that's a very hard shell.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're very beautiful. And those are lobsters. Of course, they're alive because they're black.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
they go red as soon as you cook them.
So fresh out the water this morning. You're always excited to see a lobster and a creel.
I mean, they're sheer luxury, aren't they? Yeah. I've been looking forward to some Scottish shellfish. How about some langoustine, and we'll cook them on the beach?
Sounds
Perfect.
good. Sounds good to me.
Langoustine are the cream of the crop when it comes to prawns. And after mackerel, these are the most valuable catch in Scotland. I can't wait to sample them.
Off we go then.
Yeah.
You lead the way. I can think of nowhere else I'd rather be. It's just perfect. Now, we're two cooks. Can you be chef for the day?
I'll try my very best.
Pan-fried with butter, garlic, a few fresh herbs. Langoustine à la plancha, just how I like it.
Beautiful.
So, Josh, are those done, do you think?
I think that's us ready now.
Yeah, they've got a nice bit of colour across the back. A bit of lemon over the top.
Sounds good.
Smells delicious.
Come on, give me a lesson how I do it.
A little twist from side to side. In theory, the tail will come off, and we're just left with...
I'll do exactly what you said. I bet it doesn't come anywhere near like that.
Just grab a hold and wiggle it out.
We've got to be patient. Good job.
Absolutely.
It'll be worth it in the end.
I know. There we are. It's coming. How
There we
about
go.
that? Cheers.
Good.
As good as it gets, really, isn't it?
Do you know, that's the best thing I've ever had. It's just like lobster, and warm and garlicky, a hint of thyme. It is absolutely amazing, the very best of Scotland. And
Thank
with this
you.
amazing background, Ullapool at its best.
It's not only stunning shellfish that I fell in love with as a child. I also learnt how to cook and eat salmon on these beautiful shores. And my next recipe is a new and delicious way to serve it.
When I was young, salmon was very much a luxury. In fact, you couldn't buy the cuts of salmon, you had to buy the whole salmon, and it was for a very special celebration. I'm going to show you a very special way of doing it. It's piquant, it's different, and it's healthy.
This is a light, simple dish served on a bed of tender leeks, which I'm going to soften in butter.
While that's going, I'm going to make the dressing. And the dressing is made of yuzu. Now, you may not have come across it before. I haven't used it a lot, but I do like it. It's Japanese, and it is a fruit, sometimes yellow, sometimes green, and it has a very citrusy flavour.
Start with a couple of tablespoons of the yuzu juice. If you can't find any, then a mix of lemon and lime juice will do the trick nicely. A finely chopped red chilli to give it a kick, a couple of cloves of garlic,
And I'm going to just grate those. You could use a garlic press if you prefer, so just rub that down.
and some fresh ginger.
So all these flavours, when I was young, weren't available. The only thing that I can remember was using powdered ginger.
And finally, 4 tablespoons of olive oil, and give it a good stir.
Already looks good, it looks exciting. Now I'm going to put some on top of the salmon and some I'm keeping as a dressing. And I'm going to measure off 2 tablespoons. 1, 2. All the rest will go on top of the salmon in a moment.
Once the leeks are soft, season with a little pepper and salt, and layer them into an oven-proof dish.
Now, it's something that not many people serve, leeks with salmon, but I think it goes really well.
Now for the salmon, and I like to use the middle cut, which is the thickest and most succulent part of the fish.
Because I've seasoned the leeks really well, I'm not going to season the underside of the salmon. So I'm going to put that on top, and they fit very neatly into the dish. Leave space either side.
Just a bit more salt, and pour on that wonderful zingy dressing.
About a spoonful over the top.
The secret with salmon is not to overcook it. So into the oven at 180 fan for 12 to 15 minutes, but keep an eye.
Well, that certainly looks good.
For a bit of Asian flair, garnish with delicately sliced radishes tossed in the reserved dressing. Scrumptious.
Isn't that a lovely idea? To give a real lift to an everyday classic salmon.
From beautiful salmon to another of Scotland's favourites. The sight of a wild Highland stag is always a thrill. And these regal animals are prized for their wonderful lean meat.
This is real venison country, isn't it? I mean, you can just feel it in the air, can't you?
I've come to meet one of Scotland's most talented chefs, Tom Kitchen, who's simply wild about venison.
There's such a demand for it.
Everybody's enjoying it more, and it's lean, it's healthy,
Yeah.
it's good for us. And I mean, after all, it's just like cooking beef, isn't it?
Exactly.
And he's promised me a rather special open-air lunch.
What about that? Look at that barbecue, Mary.
What a setting.
What a setting, what a location.
And this is the venison.
Yeah, look at this. They've got the lovely loin of venison. And this is interesting, this is a T-bone of venison. And in Scotland, we're really showcasing in the farmers' markets and the butchers, like, all the different cuts that you can get. Because, of course, it's just like any other. It's just like beef.
It's four legs.
It's got 4 legs, exactly. So we're going to just really barbecue those really quickly on that hot barbecue.
So that'll
And
be very, very tender.
it should be delicious, yeah. So if you could clean the mushrooms for me, Mary, that would be amazing. And I'll do the chopping of the red cabbage. Yeah, because red cabbage, traditionally, we always serve it with venison here in Scotland, but not many people know that it's really lovely raw.
Yes.
And in a salad as well.
I think you've done that before.
So while I sort a simple dressing, Tom is rustling up a wonderful Highland coleslaw to complement the venison. Red cabbage, walnut and apple.
Skin and all.
Skin and all. Okay, so you want to pour some of that over the salad.
Do you know what I was going to do? I would do it the other way around so the bowl's clean.
You're the boss.
Thank you. Right, it's going in. It's very colourful.
And then these as well, absolutely delicious. What we call them up here, brambles.
Brambles.
What
that's
do you
it.
English call them?
Oh, well, they call them blackberries, but I call them brambles because I come from
it's-
Scottish stock.
The best bit of you is Scottish, no?
No, I don't know about that, but
If you want to just pick a few leaves of parsley.
And to finish it off, pan-fried girole, straight from the forest floor.
There we go. Oh, look at that. It's like a marriage of flavours, a real Scotland on a plate, isn't it?
lovely. Are we on to the venison?
Right, onto the venison.
Tom has marinated these steaks with fresh rosemary and thyme.
When I do steak, I always season with pepper and
big-
salt.
yeah.
As long as you do it just before you put it on, otherwise it draws the blood out,
Exactly.
doesn't it? It's one thing I really agree with you chefs that I do like my food well seasoned because you cannot correct it at the table because it doesn't go in the same
Yeah.
way.
Woohoo! Oh, yes. Lovely. How's the salad, okay?
Salad looks wonderfully colourful. Oh, look at that.
Lovely.
That looks beautiful. Taste that one.
So tender. I love it. Okay,
yeah.
if you finish that up, Mary, I just got to nip and get something. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay.
There we have it, marinated venison steak with a Highland red cabbage slaw. Perfect.
One for her lady.
Oh, I'm away.
There you go,
God.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Welcome home, Mary.
I'm here to stay.
You don't have to be a deer stalker to enjoy venison. It's easy to pick it up in supermarkets and a perfect addition to transform a favourite family classic. And what better to go with it than stir-fried veg with shallots and garlic?
Nothing's more everyday than cottage pie. We all love it. My mother used to make it with what she called Scotch mince, which was simply minced beef, carrot and onion. But I'm going to do a different variation today. Instead of the beef, I'm going to use venison.
The secret behind a perfect cottage pie is to layer the flavours, starting with some crispy bacon.
And the fat is full of flavour that's left in the pan.
And then cook the vegetables in the bacon fat, starting with a finely chopped onion and some fresh rosemary.
Then in goes the carrot.
And finally a heaped tablespoonful of flour, which will give the sauce a velvety consistency. Now to the star of the show, 600 grams of minced venison.
It's funny say that in early days venison was not popular in Scotland. They used to roast a haunch of venison, but very rarely was it used for something like cottage pie, and I think it makes an excellent cottage pie.
For even more depth of flavour, I love to add a really good glug of red wine.
And that'll be left for supper.
And finally, 600 ml of beef or game stock.
So that has simmered gently for 40 minutes. I'd better just see that it's done, just a sec. I know it's very hot. That's beautifully soft. It's a good flavour.
Ladle the mince into a shallow dish and leave it to cool. What cottage pie is complete without a delicious topping of mashed potato?
At home, I always just do mashed potato on top with a little bit of milk and butter. But my mum always used to use a thing called a ricer, and I still got it, and I'm really rather pleased. It must be over 100 years old, and I have memories of Mum doing this. God, it's really heavy, and it's a brilliant machine. Let me just show you how it works. So you take some potato, in it goes like that, and then into the pan, watch it come through. Doesn't it come through beautifully? It actually looks, when you get close up, it looks just like rice, boiled rice. I think that's why it's called a ricer. You know, Mum was cooking right till the end of her life, and she died at 105, and I expect she's looking down now and thinking, very good idea to use venison.
I like a rich potato topping, so in goes butter,
Just to make it a nice spreading consistency.
a splash of milk,
And in no way would my mum put cream in there. That wasn't for those sort of occasions.
and seasoning. A really good tip is to let the mince go stone cold before you add the mash. If you do it when it's hot, it will just mix in with the mince. Then it's into the oven at 180 fan until it's golden and bubbling. I can't wait. While that's in the oven, I can show you how to turn a bowl of ordinary veg into something exciting.
The secret of everyday cooking is to shake it up a bit, make it a bit different.
I'm giving plain old broccoli and cauliflower a real lift. Banana shallots will give the veg a lovely flavour.
If you haven't any shallots, you could use finely chopped or sliced onion, and then give that a good stir and keep it going for a few minutes.
Once they're soft and translucent, in go the veg.
So what I'm going to do is give this a quick stir, like that. I have to admit that when I was young, some of our vegetables were a bit overcooked, and now I love them with a bone in the middle. In goes the garlic.
Add crushed garlic near the end so it doesn't burn, along with a good tablespoon of runny honey. So tempting.
Sorry, it's irresistible. Just one small piece. That is absolutely scrumptious.
Stir frying really gives an added dimension to everyday veg. And there you have it, the perfect accompaniment to my venison cottage pie.
I don't think anybody will notice if I have a little try, just in the interest of science. Oh, it's hot. There's a lovely crunchiness to that potato and a very full flavour to the venison. Do you know, I think having venison instead of beef really gives it a lift and makes it a very special pie.
We were never without a bottle of whisky in the drinks cupboard when I was growing up. And as the weather draws in, a wee dram in my sumptuous pud seems a jolly good idea.
So I'm going to be making Scots whisky cream, and here's the main ingredient. The clouds are coming down, so I've got to be quick, otherwise I might be masked with the crowd.
The joy of this recipe is a potent syrup, starting with the juice of half an orange and the all-important whisky.
Whenever I see whisky, I always think of my grandfather. He was a Scot, and he used to come and stay when I was a little wee girl, and he used to have a dram at 6 o'clock, and believe it or not, come sort of bedtime, another dram, and the drams got increased.
To that, I just add 100 grams of caster sugar and 3 tablespoons of lovely Dundee marmalade.
That's it. And the little bits of peel go in there too. Now, this is going to make a syrup, and so I'm camping. I've got to turn that on, press that hard. Can you hear it? I can. It's away. So put this on and dissolve the sugar.
Drop in some pieces of orange peel to infuse.
All that will add to the flavour.
The trick for a thick, dreamy syrup is to let it come to the boil for a minute. And don't be tempted to stir. If you do, the sugar will crystallise.
The smell is amazing. There we go. So leave that to get stone cold, leaving those big strips of peel in there.
Once it's cool, I can bring it all together. Remove the peel and add 450 ml of pouring double cream.
Oh, wonderful everyday Scottish ingredients.
Then whisk to a thick foam.
No electric mixer out here, just a hand one. Surprisingly, it's going very quickly. Aren't I lucky? I think there might be thunder coming or something. They always say that when there's thunder, it thickens more quickly.
This is so deliciously potent, I'd like to serve it in shot glasses.
Then finish with a little sort of swirl as you do it.
Topped off with another Scottish favourite.
These are simply beautiful. So 3 of those on top of each one.
And lastly, some orange zest.
It just sort of finishes it off. At this stage, I don't half need warming up, so let me try. And I might even have a dram afterwards. I can tell you, it's well worth the drizzle, the wind, and the chilling to make this. It is fantastic.
Next time, it's hearty and wholesome recipes for when you've really worked up an appetite.
That is blissful. It is scrumptious. It's beautiful.
I'm Mary Berry, and in this series I'll be celebrating the very best of my everyday cooking. Day-to-day cooking needn't be mundane. Even the simplest recipes can be a joy. I want to show you easy ways to transform dishes into something really special. From my recipes that stir fond memories
Welcome home, Mary.
I'm here to stay.
to my delicious ideas to feed the family,
Not bad, is it?
Very, very good.
and my surprisingly easy showstoppers for when you want to show off.
How about that then?
In this programme, my everyday hearty and wholesome favourites.
That is blissful. It is scrumptious. It's beautiful.
I love time at home in the garden, tending to the vegetables, being with my dogs, and enjoying fresh air. And after an invigorating day, I'm ready for dishes bursting with goodness.
Nothing beats a wholesome, hearty supper. I'm going to show you some tempting recipes that are really lovely to come home to. Gives you a great welcome.
The ultimate bolognese, given my own special touch. A gorgeous salad bursting with intense flavour. A scrumptious sea bass supper with added crunch. And a good wholesome pud full of natural sweetness. But first, my heartwarming soup with added crispy goodness.
A hearty soup is a great everyday favourite, and I've got a wonderful idea that gives soup masses of extra flavour.
First, celeriac. I just love it. It's similar to celery with a deliciously nutty overtone.
I try to grow it at home. Ours is well behind. I brought some in. Don't laugh. It looks as though it's got hair growing on it. Mine certainly need another 2 months in the ground, well watered, before they'll get anywhere near that size.
Remove the peel quickly so the flesh doesn't discolour.
Then I'm going to cube it. Rough cubes. That's it.
What gives this soup depth is one of my favourite ingredients, pan-fried in butter.
In the pan here, I've got 6 rashers of pancetta. I've snipped it up into small pieces. It'll become crisp very quickly. Drain every bit of fat off that. Pop it on there.
Save the crisp pancetta to top the soup, but it's a good tip to hang on to the wonderful flavour from the fat so it comes through in the soup itself. In goes onion, butter, and a cubed potato to give the soup its hearty texture. And then the crowning glory, that wonderful celeriac. You need about 750 ml of stock.
Now the stock can be vegetable stock or it could be chicken stock.
And of course, pepper and salt.
Turn the heat down and then simmer those vegetables until they're tender. It'll take 15 or 20 minutes.
While that simmers away, I'll show you what gives this a delicious, wholesome crunch.
A different shaped crouton. So these are into little batons, as the chefs call them. These are fairly stale. Don't try and do it with fresh bread because it won't hold its shape.
Toss them in olive oil and coat in poppy seeds.
They give a very interesting finish.
And for extra flavour, give them a sprinkle of parmesan and season them well. Then into the oven for 10 minutes, and you may need to give them a turn. An easy idea to spruce up a slice of bread.
Well, to me, those look special, much more exciting than ordinary croutons. In the interest of science, I better just see if they're all right. You don't get much more crispy than that.
I want the soup beautifully smooth, so I strain off the stock and puree the vegetables.
That looks just the job.
And then put that rich stock along with the puree back in the pan to get it piping hot.
The smell of celeriac, I think, is lovely. And I'm going to add 2 or 3 tablespoonfuls of double cream. That just enriches it and makes it a really hearty, warming soup. It's like pure velvet. It's lovely.
And for a hearty topping, my crunchy poppy seed croutons.
Put them on in the last minute because you want them absolutely crispy, and that one went on without being asked.
Some peppery watercress.
Now, watercress is delicious with it, and also it brings out the colour.
And that crisp pancetta.
And you just need a little pinch on the top of each bowlful, and it'll add to the flavour. I think that's a very special, heartwarming soup.
There's something wholesome and satisfying about homegrown food. It always seems to taste better. And my next recipe uses one of my favourite herbs from the garden to transform a fillet of sea bass.
I'm going to make it a little more hearty and robust by adding a crumb crust.
Start by melting 40 grams of butter.
So, I've got 60 grams of Japanese dried breadcrumbs. They're very, very crisp. You can do them yourself, but you need to dry them out in the oven first. So in they go, 60 grams.
For a bit of punch, finely grate the zest of a lemon.
I love the smell of lemon, and lemon goes really well with fish. That's it. Now you want to get that really coated with the butter.
Season with pepper and salt. And for me, what makes this dish is the mild aniseed tone of tarragon.
It smells so good. There's nothing like fresh tarragon. Don't be tempted unless you have to use dried tarragon. It just isn't the same.
Mix half the tarragon with the breadcrumbs. Now, for my secret to ensure a crunchy, perfectly coated fish.
If you try and dip the fish into this, it doesn't really stick.
My trick is to lay the crumbs onto the tray first.
Then take the fish and put it skin side down on top of the crumbs. That's it. Then really press that down all the way so those crumbs stick. Then I'm going to put just a little seasoning on top. All these layers of seasoning really does help to add to the flavour.
Then spoon the rest of the breadcrumbs over the fillets. For that finishing touch, add a sprinkle of parmesan.
I think it's nice to do it slightly more chunkily, as I have on the coarse grater. So that's ready for the oven, and you want to cook it at 180 fan for about 15 minutes.
While the fish cooks, I have a simple, fragrant sauce to go with it. Creme fraiche, the rest of that tarragon, a dash of sugar, and a squeeze of lemon.
And believe it or not, that's the sauce.
Just in time as well.
The top is a gorgeous golden brown. I think it looks really inviting. Serve it at once. I'm going to serve it with a little samphire. It has a lovely sort of salty flavour.
Samphire is becoming more and more popular. If you can't get it from your supermarket, your local fishmonger is worth a try.
So there it is, tarragon crusted sea bass. A really hearty way of serving one of my favourite fishes.
We Brits are lucky that we can produce so many things that we love to use every day. Honey is a perfect example. I've always dreamt of keeping bees, and I'm not alone. It's now one of Britain's fastest growing hobbies. Here in Hertfordshire, scientist Sue Carter has been keeping bees for 18 years. But first, very important that you don't forget your protection.
Right, here we are, Mary. Your suit. So we've got two parts to it. There's the trousers.
Right?
Okay, There we go, over the head. And then it's just like getting into a jumper.
Yeah, there we are. Gosh, I've got perfect vision. You can see everything that's going on, can't you?
Yeah, you think that the mesh is going to stop you seeing, but
you
it
can
doesn't
see
at all.
perfectly.
And the last thing is a pair of gloves.
Right, I feel kitted out.
Right,
We're all in.
off we go.
I'll follow you.
If you don't have a big space like Sue, don't let that put you off. Beehives can be kept in smaller gardens. Just use the right precautions.
What do I have to do with this?
Help me by smoking the front of the entrance here. The smoke helps to calm the bees. They think they've got a forest fire coming and they feel sort of, and don't bother stinging you. We're going to take the roof off.
There's hundreds of them. How much honey does one bee produce in its lifetime?
Well, a bee has got a relatively short lifetime during summer. It's only about 6 weeks, and it will collect about 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey.
Oh, gosh.
Now, this here is what we call a super. There's a box at the bottom which we call the brood box, and on top of that is a wire grid called a queen excluder, because we don't want the queen laying brood in here. This is purely for the honey stores.
But how many bees are in here?
In total in the hive there's probably 40 to 50,000.
40 to 50,000. But if you lose all these in 6 weeks, where are the next lot coming from?
Well, that's what the queen's doing down below. She's laying lots of eggs all of the time to replace the ones that we're losing. Somewhere in the region of 2,000 eggs a day.
She's a busy bee, isn't she?
She certainly is, yes.
Whilst the queen bee is laying eggs, the female workers around her are turning the collected nectar into honey. Sue is keen to show me the queen, but with thousands of bees, she's not easy to find.
No?
No, not there. She's not there either. Ah, I see her.
You see her, I don't. Come on, point her out to me.
She's here.
Oh, yes. She's certainly the centre of attraction. She's much longer bodied and sort of slightly broader stripes. There she is.
Beekeepers only collect honey from their hives twice a year, so you need to be patient if you're doing it at home.
Okay, off we go. You should see the back of you. You're covered in bees.
So are you.
Am I? Oh,
We'll shake our suits off.
go back home, all of you.
Before I get to sample the freshest honey I've ever tasted, I've got the perfect idea for a hearty salad to really liven up the lunch table.
Salads have changed over the years, haven't they? I mean, there was the day when there was tomato, lettuce, and that really was what salads were. And now you have many more ingredients and more exciting dressings. And I can remember well when olive oil was only bought from the chemist shop in a bottle, and it was not used for cooking. And anyway, it tasted horrible.
This salad is full of exciting textures. To start, I've got mixed grains of red and white quinoa and bulgur wheat. All you do is bring them to the boil for a few minutes.
Already the grains are beginning to swell.
Turn off the heat and leave for about 20 minutes until all the liquid is absorbed. Onto the dressing, and I'm giving it a sharp kick.
The newest ingredient is this pomegranate molasses. Now, pomegranate molasses is sort of sweet and sour. It makes very good dressings. So often I use honey because I like that in a dressing, but this has the added sourness.
It's a great addition to the store cupboard, giving a fruity depth to all sorts of dishes. For my dressing, all it needs is olive oil, the zest and juice of a lemon, and a dash of sugar to offset the sharpness.
So there's my dressing, as easy as can be. The quinoa has had 20 minutes just to absorb the rest of that liquid.
Fresh herbs give a real lift to everyday cooking, making it vibrant and interesting.
Now, you're going to be surprised the amount of herbs that I use, but I want it to be bright, bright green.
For this, I want fresh mint, parsley, basil and chives.
Absolutely wonderful. And it makes all the difference to have a good knife. Gosh, they make a difference, don't they? Not only to the wonderful aroma, but they're adding to the colour.
The grains can take strong flavours, so I'm adding softened red onion, sun-blushed tomatoes and a little seasoning. And to finish it off, I love well-flavoured feta cheese.
This is good quality feta cheese, and it's nice just to crumble in little pieces, which you do with your fingers.
In goes my dressing, and a good tip is to wait before serving.
Give that a couple of hours so the flavour really gets through to the quinoa. That certainly is a far cry from some of the boring salads that I was brought up with. It is scrumptious, it's beautiful, and I love it.
Nothing beats a hearty supper when you've worked up an appetite. And my next recipe is my delicious version of one of our nation's go-to dishes.
We Brits cook bolognese more than any other meat recipe, so here goes.
Every good bolognese begins with the very important trinity of onion, celery and carrot.
So I'm just sort of sweating those off.
Keep on a high heat and stir to stop them sticking to the pan.
Next I'm going to add the meat, and I've got 500 grams of beef and 500 grams of pork. Having the two meats mean you get a wonderful deep flavour, and it's what the Italians do. To begin with, the meat often sticks together. That's why I'm using 2 spatulas.
Still on a high heat, let the meat get beautifully browned. To give it some intensity, add 3 cloves of crushed garlic and 3 tablespoons of sun-dried tomato paste.
I'm going to judge it. I like sun-dried tomato paste. It's rich and flavoursome.
In goes 200 ml of good stock, a can of chopped tomatoes,
That helps to give a bit of texture.
and 500 grams of passata.
I'm going to give that a good stir and let it bubble up.
And then 3 tablespoons of fresh thyme.
And I almost forgot a very important ingredient, the wine. White or red, whatever you've got to hand. Though I really prefer to add white. There's never any left in our household. I might even have to open a bottle specially. 150 ml of wine. That's it, back in the fridge, and we'll enjoy it later.
Lastly, a few bay leaves and season well. Most people cook bolognese on the hob, but I have a good tip that will make the most tender, deeply flavoured bolognese you have ever tasted.
The total cooking time of this is 2 hours. I like to do it in the oven. It's a slow-cooked ragu bolognese sauce, and it really does bring out the flavour of all the ingredients. I do it at 140 fan.
After an hour in the oven, my secret is to make it even richer by adding double cream.
Don't worry, it doesn't curdle or do anything like that. It just enriches it. And what I want to end up with is a fairly thick mixture. So I'm putting it back in the oven without the lid on for the last hour, and it will gently simmer away.
The Italian way isn't to serve a robust meat sauce with a skinny pasta like spaghetti. For the perfect pairing, choose a thicker shape like pappardelle.
I like the idea of using a flat pasta because it picks up the sauce better and you get more of it. Allow 75 grams per head, a bit more if they're starving. I'd love to have Parmesan cheese with it. When I first began using Parmesan cheese, you had to have a special grater because it was so hard and so mature. And in fact, in Italy, they still mature it more than we do. But it does mean you can grate it more easily.
After 2 hours, the meat will have soaked up all those rich flavours and it'll melt in the mouth.
This is just what I wanted to happen. It's reduced, it's quite a thick mixture, and it's a perfect colour. Over the top. And another one. That's it. And then a little bit of Parmesan, when you serve it, just gently sprinkled over the top. I can quite understand how bolognese is one of our great British everyday favourites. It's certainly one of mine.
Back in Hertfordshire, Sue is going to show me how to extract the honey we collected.
So, Sue, we've got these frames. How do we get the honey out of here?
You're going to take your knife and you're going to gently take this wax off the top.
So I'm going to shave off.
Yeah.
Rather like as though it was Parmesan.
Yes.
Right.
The bees store the honey inside the honeycomb and seal it with wax to keep it fresh. Once the wax is off, we can separate the runny honey from the comb.
You're doing well.
Well, I'm quite used to cutting a Victoria sandwich in half.
See the honey oozing out. It's lovely.
Can. That's fun to do. It's most satisfying, isn't it?
I have to say, you're doing a very good job. Most people, when they do it first time...
What do they do?
Well, they dig so much more into the comb.
Ah, but I'm not digging into the comb, because if I do, I'm taking that precious honey away. It's a lovely, sweet aroma. I cannot resist having just a little taste. It is.
And that's honey at its absolute best. It's fresh from the hive.
It just tastes flowery. There's a true sort of floral flavour to that.
So next we put it into the extractor. In there.
And obviously we're going to spin it.
Yep. The next frame, I'm going to put it in the opposite side so that it balances it up. And then you go and turn this handle.
Right, OK. Do you know, it's as easy as spinning lettuce in a salad spinner. It's light as a feather.
Yeah.
As I'm doing it, I can smell the honey coming. Gorgeous smell.
The type of flowers the bees visit really changes the flavour, colour and aroma of the honey, so no crop is ever the same.
So, up on here now.
Now, I will manage the tap. If you manage the jar.
Well, will you stop it at the right time, please?
Absolutely, otherwise you
Okay.
might get sticky.
It looks absolutely wonderful.
It takes more than 20,000 busy bees to fill this one jar. And it's not just honey which they're useful for. They are important pollinators. 1/3 of the food we eat wouldn't be available if it wasn't for the bees.
I think that's about it. That's it. So there we are, pure liquid gold. And here we've got wonderful honey. It wasn't too complicated, and the bees have done all the work.
They have indeed, and I hope you've enjoyed your day beekeeping and it's encouraged you to perhaps take it up yourself.
I'm really tempted, and I'm going to grasp the nettle and have bees. I did enjoy my day with Sue learning all about honey, and I've come back with my little pot of gold.
And what better use for it than my wholesome fruit compote, full of natural goodness.
So for my rosy red fruit salad, I'm going to make a coulis from raspberries. I've got some quite nice raspberries here, and I'm going to use half of them as a coulis and half I'll put in the fruit compote.
Making a coulis couldn't be simpler. Use a blender or processor and add a good helping of icing sugar.
Nothing could be easier than that.
For a super smooth finish, push through a sieve because we don't want any pips.
I'm going to take the fruits and drop them in the coulis. It really gives a lovely flavour. It's the sort of thing, if I was having people in the evening, I would do in the afternoon. Then I'd put it back in the fridge to get really cold.
I like to use firm fruits to complement the coulis. Seedless grapes, ripe, juicy nectarines.
Give it a turn in the wonderful coulis.
And it's a good tip to stop the fruit turning brown.
Also, in this compote, I like big chunks of the fruit rather than itsy-bitsy little pieces. I have memories of a can when I was small, and it was called mixed fruit salad. And you'd no idea what the fruits were because they were all either yellow or orange and all mushed together. This is much more spectacular.
In goes the rest of the fruit, fresh strawberries, sharp blueberries, and lastly those lovely plump raspberries. Nothing goes better with a fruit compote than a hearty helping of yoghurt.
I've got a big pot of Greek-style yoghurt. That's the extra rich one and the very creamy one. And then the jewel in the crown, my wonderful golden honey. I've got it off. 2 generous spoons of this lovely honey. Look at that. That's it. Of course, honey, we're told, has great healing properties. There's absolutely nothing wrong with me, but I'm very happy to be healed with a nice quantity of honey in here. I think the two make a wonderful marriage. That is blissful. I can think of nothing else I would like more right now, except another dip. Don't tell a soul.
Next time, my everyday recipes to delight a happy gathering.
There we are.
Thank you.
It's a good recipe and great for a crowd.
Everyone loves pizza.
I'm Mary Berry, and in this series I'll be celebrating the very best of my everyday cooking. Day-to-day cooking needn't be mundane. Even the simplest recipes can be a joy. I want to show you easy ways to transform dishes into something really special. From my indulgent and delicious ideas
It's sheer heaven on a plate.
to recipes that stir fond memories,
Welcome home, Mary.
I'm here to stay.
and my surprisingly easy showstoppers for when you really want to show off.
How on that then?
In this programme, the everyday dishes I love to whip up into fabulous crowd pleasers.
How about sorbet? I think we've got enough for everyone.
To me, there's nothing more enjoyable than sharing our garden with everyone in the village.
Today, our local church are having an event in the garden, and there are loads of helping hands making cakes, tarts and scones. So, Alex, where would you like me to put them?
Oh, you can just put them here, please.
This
That'd be
room?
lovely.
Right.
Yeah.
Lovely and fresh.
It's wonderful to see everybody tucking in.
That was very good.
I've so many exciting recipes to feed a crowd, though perhaps not quite as big as this one. Here's my very own version of one we all love to share. A little something that's perfect to get them in the mood. A fruity number that gets plenty of oohs and ahs. And a cheesecake elevated to the spectacular. But first, a rich, mouth-watering stew I've served up to hungry hordes for many a year. I've always been a fan of food that's easy to make for a crowd, so I'm making a timeless classic, beef and ale stew, and this one is really special. Good quality braising beef makes all the difference.
And I'm going to fry it, first of all, until it's a gorgeous golden brown colour. Because I have got it hot, I know it's making an awful noise and an awful lot of spitting, but this is just what I want. Give it a turn, it's browning beautifully quickly.
Once all the meat is beautifully browned, keep the same pan to fry off the vegetables.
I'll have to have just a little drop more.
Pickling onions or small shallots go perfectly.
In they go.
Then it's 2 carrots and 200 grams of little button mushrooms.
And I've left the stalk on, they're nice and small. I love making stews. You can always do them ahead. It really is a winner.
Now for the star ingredient, this wonderful ale.
That's what's giving it the flavour. I'm going to use a whole bottle, that's 500 ml.
My secret to make a smooth, velvety stew is to slowly whisk 50 grams of flour with the ale.
If you sprinkle the meat with flour, often it gets in the crevices and doesn't really thicken it well. Whereas if you do it this way, every little grain of flour is used to thicken the casserole. Don't worry, all the bubbles will go. So pour it in all at once.
In goes 150 ml of beef stock, and then for a full flavour, some rich onion marmalade.
Now I've got to add the meat back into there.
Finally, a splash of Worcester sauce, seasoning and a few bay leaves.
Now this is a really gorgeous golden brown colour. My grandmother, I just remember her in the kitchen, and she would take an old spoon and she'd put a little sugar on it and hold it over a naked flame and just watch it bubble to a dark caramel. She would then stir it in with the liquid and it would add a lovely golden brown. Well, mine's a lovely colour, so I'm not doing anything to it.
So that's ready for a long, slow cook, 2.5 hours at 140 fan, until the meat is soft and tender. What livens up a stew more than dumplings? Not just plain round dumplings, but spiral dumplings with the wonderful flavour of parsley and horseradish. This is a light dough made with suet and self-raising flour. And it's good to remember, a wet dough is a lighter dough. All these things will give you fluffy dumplings.
Just like scones, it doesn't need a lot of kneading. Feels a nice wet dough. Look, it's sticking to my fingers. I know that's a good dough.
To make the spiral, the trick is to roll it out on a non-stick sheet.
Then roll that out into an oblong. So imagine we're going to do a Swiss roll.
And to make them really flavoursome, I'm using lashings of hot horseradish.
What goes better than beef than horseradish?
And fresh parsley.
Not only does the parsley add to the flavour, you can imagine in the spirals you get a green layer, which is lovely, rather like a Catherine wheel. And just like when you're doing a roulade, let the paper do the work and then make a tight roll in the middle. Can you see? I'm tucking that in.
For perfect results, firm it up in the fridge before you slice it into even spirals.
The stew has had its time. Let's see how it is. And I might say it's quite a weight.
Give the dumplings plenty of space on top of the stew so they can spread as they cook. And then back in the oven, lid off, for 25 minutes with the temperature up to 200 fan.
Looks pretty good to me. That's just what I wanted. I promised you that they would spread out. They've got a lovely crispy brown top.
So there it is, an everyday favourite transformed into a hearty crowd pleaser.
It's a perfect dish. I love having people round, but the first rule is make it simple, be organised, and get as much as you can done ahead.
My next recipe is the perfect thing for a sharing platter. A heavenly dip that's blissfully easy to make.
So all I'm going to do is put all those ingredients into a processor, season it, have a little taste, and it's done.
The only thing that's low fat in this is 200 grams of light mayonnaise. The rest is jolly rich, starting with 150 grams of sour cream.
Then I've got cheddar cheese grated, and it's a really nice mature one.
In goes 100 grams of that, and for a really full flavour, 25 grams of grated parmesan.
I'll only need a quarter of an onion, and then just sort of cut it up roughly. In goes the onion.
I love onion and garlic together, so I'm adding a couple of cloves into the mix.
And all that remains is for me to add the artichokes. Now, I have strained those. You've got the sort of the base of the artichoke here and just a little bit of the leaf. In France, it's called the fond. All of that will go into a puree and give it a flavour, and just put them in all at once. All the ingredients are in there. Yes, it is a bit rich, but we're serving it with crudités, raw vegetables, so they're very good for you.
Don't forget a little pepper and salt, then whiz it into a fine puree.
Like magic, it's done. It's really scrumptious.
I'm serving this alongside quail's eggs, marinated prawns and beetroot hummus.
I'm going to let everybody enjoy that now, so I'll take it down.
This artichoke dip is a huge hit with friends and family. Sometimes it's the simple pleasures we all love most, and there's one sharing plate that never fails to please. I've called for my first ever pizza delivery in the form of brothers James and Tom from Dorset, who love it so much that they went all the way to Naples to discover the secret of the very best pizza in the world.
Hello.
Hello. Now, it's Tom and James.
James.
I've got a big confession. I've never had a home delivery of a pizza. I've made lots of my children in my time, but I have never had a delivery.
Well, we're slow getting here, but we're quick once the oven's on, I promise.
I was expecting 2 Italians.
We did a pizza pilgrimage through Italy, in fact. We bought this van just over the water from Sicily, and we drove it back from Italy. We budgeted 1 week to do that, and it took 6, because the lovely van, as great as she is, she has a top speed of 18 miles an hour.
And where does the best pizza come from?
Well, it comes from 1/3 of the way up Naples.
Right.
We didn't even need to do the rest of the trip. Once we landed in Naples and we tasted this pizza, it was a no-brainer.
So what's so special about a Neapolitan pizza?
In Naples, it's all about the dough.
This is the dough, and if you have a feel of that, it's really soft. And that's just 4 ingredients. That's 0-0 flour, water, salt, and fresh baker's yeast.
But the key to it is to allow a long proof to really develop the flavour.
Right.
And for that, you use an incredibly small amount of yeast.
With pizza, we want this really soft, kind of melt in the mouth kind of chewiness.
It's very, very elastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know, I can almost see you through it.
You can make it 3 times the size. It's amazing how strong it is.
If you look at this, so this is the gluten here. When you mix it, you develop the gluten,
Yeah.
and then that is what holds the whole thing together. In the same way that we were taught, should we just have a go?
I'm not experienced at it. We've got one dog underneath here. Anything that drops.
He's ready for anything.
Millie is ready to
He
eat.
looks ready. Well, we're going to take a dough ball each. Neapolitan pizza has quite a sort of raised crust. It's quite characteristic. So what we do is we press, leaving a crust around the outside like that. So next is the theatre bit. Basically, you want to take the pizza dough on your hands like that, and then you just pass it between your hands and keep stretching.
But it really is
And the weight is
very
pulling it
little
down.
effort, and it's done.
That's it.
So we thought we'd do a classic margarita today. So it's the most simple. It's the only pizza that I'll actually recognise in Naples as a pizza. Anything else is not pizza. It's simplicity itself. It's just tomatoes blitzed down with some salt.
These are called San Marzano tomatoes, which are deemed the best tomatoes in the world because they grow in the foothills of Mount Vesuvius and its volcanic soils in the sun. So then the next most important rule with pizza is to put on the ingredients in order of which way they burn. So basil burns very easily, so it needs to sit on the bottom. Quite a lot of basil, little pinch of Parmesan.
Only that little bit.
Just a little pinch.
Now, you see, I think we're being a bit mean with that, but this is the right
Hey.
amount.
If you want more Parmesan, you go for it.
Right.
And then last ingredient, this is fior di latte mozzarella, which is a special kind of mozzarella that comes from the Naples region, Campania. And it's a cow's milk mozzarella with a really high moisture and fat content. We just want little pools.
Oh, I like that.
Last thing is just a little drizzle of extra virgin olive oil.
Right,
No.
we're ready for the oven, are we?
You ready? Let's do it. So the oven is really hot. It's about 500 degrees Celsius. And the idea is that you can't cook pizza quick enough. If you want to keep it soft and chewy, you need to get it cooked and get the colour on it and get it out before it goes crispy.
Right.
You take this, you put it down so that the front of the peel is touching like that. It's all about speed. So you're gonna go,
Perfect.
In here.
In.
How long are you going to leave it in this at 500 degrees?
It'll be in there for a minute, no more.
What you do is, it's called doming. So now you take that and you just show it up to the flame.
There you go.
That's it.
That's enough.
And that just puts a little bit more colour on the top.
There
That's
we
it.
are.
Look at that. Perfect pizza.
Gosh, it's all melting over the top. It's all crispy brown on the outside. And, of course, the mozzarella is runny in the middle.
Yeah.
And they look so tempting.
So we're going to show you how to eat pizza Naples style. So you take a slice like this, and you fold the corner point into the middle, and then the other corner point into the middle as well.
Like that?
Yeah, and then you just catch the end, like that, and fold it over, and you create what's technically known as a pizza boat.
Straight in.
I've waited for this a long time. That's what I like, the crunch.
Got it in there.
Do you know something? It's the best pizza I've ever had. It's quite different. And yet the ingredients themselves are so simple. It's really good. Well worth trying.
I can see it now, look, a pizza oven just there by the pond there. Perfect.
Above dog height, please.
Yeah.
There's nothing quite like authentic Italian pizza. But I'm going to show you how to make a really special version at home, even without that wonderful pizza oven. Just as Tom and James said, a good pizza is all about the dough. And don't be afraid, this is very simple to make.
First of all, I'm going to start with the flour, strong flour, the sort that you use for bread makes it best. Then I'm going to add the yeast, and this is dried yeast, a teaspoonful. I know the boys use fresh yeast, but they're making mountains of pizza every day. This dried yeast has the advantage that it will keep too.
Always put the yeast on the opposite side of the bowl to the salt. If you add them together, the salt can stop the yeast from doing its job. And my idea for a bit of extra flavour is fresh garlic.
A little unusual to put garlic actually in the dough, but I like it.
Now slowly add around 175 ml of cold water until it forms a dough. A splash of olive oil, then knead it slowly for about 4 minutes. If you're doing it all by hand, it'll take about 10 minutes to get a nice smooth dough.
It's a slightly wet dough, which I like. You get a better rise. And then I'm going to do the last bit of kneading by hand. And it's very manageable and it'll be very easy to shape.
Pop the dough into a greased bowl and let it rise for a couple of hours until it's doubled its size. Once it's risen, knock it back and give it a quick knead before you shape it.
So I've got my non-stick paper here. Here's the dough. And I'm going to be just like James and Tom and not use a rolling pin. Very Italian. I love pizza when it's thin and it's homemade and I know exactly what's gone into it. And this is just perfect. Now down to business.
Season some passata. Scatter on some delicious caramelised onion. Pile on the Parma ham. And I just love a mild goat's cheese to finish it off.
I really like doing this. It's great fun to do, and it makes a special everyday meal for me. Delicious.
A perfect pizza needs to cook as quickly and evenly as possible.
What I'm trying to recreate is that wonderful hot surface that Tom and James had in their little van.
Slip it onto a hot baking tray and then into an oven as hot as it will go for about 12 minutes.
Well, I'm pretty proud of that. Looks good, doesn't it? Now it needs a little bit of fresh basil. Basil goes so well with tomatoes. A few leaves. Now what it needs is some good olive oil just over the top. Just helps to give it a nice flavour and shine.
Now, who can I get to share a slice of this?
There we are, boys. What have you been waiting for?
Oh, my goodness.
How does that look?
That is a picture.
Amazing.
It's so nice to eat someone else's pizza for once.
I know. That is a nice feeling.
Thank you very much.
That's
I love that mild goat's cheese. It's really nice.
Yes, so
It
delicious.
is,
It's kind of almost like mozzarella. It's perfect.
It's a good family recipe and great for a crowd.
Everyone loves pizza. That's the thing.
Over 1,000 people have come to the garden today, raising lots of money for our local church.
There were crowds going past the vicarage, heading this way, which is fantastic.
This year we've got 2 lots of teas,
When did
and
we have?
still we've got a
And I,
queue.
Thankfully, I'm not in charge of all the baking, but I do have a lovely idea you can whip up in no time that makes a simple cheesecake a great centrepiece.
So good, this cheesecake, because there's no cooking, no gelatin, just put all the ingredients together and let it set in the fridge.
First, I've got an easy crumb crust of digestives and melted butter.
That's the base. The coulis ready to go over the top. All I've got to do now is make the actual cheesecake itself.
Take 250 grams of delicious full-fat mascarpone,
If you use low fat, it won't set.
a teaspoonful of vanilla extract, and 300 ml of double cream, and whip them together until beautifully smooth. To make it really special, add 200 grams of molten white chocolate.
I'm very fond of white chocolate and I often use it in recipes. It's very decadent, just like this cheesecake. I love it. Now at this stage, take great care. If you go on beating it for a long time, it could separate. And it's a beautiful, smooth mixture. Very delicious.
Now to create the cheesecake.
Now I'm going to put half the mixture in. I'll tell you why in a moment. I'm going to spread that evenly across the base, like that, right to the edge. Now, I'm going to do something a little secret. So if you take a spoon and you make about 10 incisions and then spoon a bit of the coulis into it. As you come to serve it, you'll get a little streak down it. You want your friends to think you've made a lot of effort.
Complete with the rest of the topping, and it's ready to go into the fridge to chill until firm.
There it is, beautifully set firm. I'm just going to very gently free the press here. Oh, I'm doing it very, very slowly. That's it. And then I'm going to turn that upside down. 1, 2, 3. There's the lovely crust that we made on top like that. A wing and a prayer. Peel that paper off there, and that's perfect.
All that remains is to give it a layer of lovely raspberries.
Just room for one more in there.
And my special finishing touch.
There it is. I think that's a very beautiful pudding. I can't wait to get in there.
Beautiful.
It's wonderful to have a bit of fun with the food you share. So here's a recipe that ticks all the boxes. An exotic mango and passion fruit sorbet you can serve up in style.
This sorbet is really easy to make. You don't need a special machine or anything like that.
Start with a simple sugar syrup made from caster sugar and water and stir until the sugar has dissolved.
I'm going to leave that to gently bubble away until it's a syrup, a little bit thicker. And then I'm going to dilute it with more water.
I'm using the juice of 6 delicious passion fruit.
I love passion fruit.
And 3 limes.
Everyone's got their favourite lemon or lime squeezer. I've had this all my married life, so it must be 50 years old. And I remember seeing it. There used to be something called the Design Centre just off Piccadilly, and it won a Design Centre award, and I've had it ever since.
Then the flesh of 2 large ripe mangoes, which need a quick whiz.
Now I'm going to add the juice from the passion fruit, the lime juice. Just give that a quick whiz, and all we've got to add then is our sugar syrup. Now the sugar syrup is cold. I'm going to put the whole lot in, so in it goes. Give it a whiz, and then it's ready to be frozen. That's made. Wasn't that simple? But it's got to be frozen twice to get a beautiful texture for our sorbet. Doesn't it look an amazing colour? That fills right to the top.
After 6 hours or so, the sorbet has formed. But I'll show you how to make it beautifully smooth and velvety.
So I'm going to cut that into squares. And actually, you can see it's all in lots of crystals. And this will become a smooth sort of froth and it'll be nice and aerated once we've frozen it again. Push those lumps down and you'll get a change of noise and it'll suddenly go zoom and it'll all be smooth. That's absolutely perfect. It's going through in a lovely light mush. And it's lovely and creamy, but we want it set again. So, back in the freezer to freeze solid, and it's ready to serve.
And that's the secret to a sorbet. This is an easy one to scale up, and a good trick is to double the quantity and freeze it in balls, ready to bring out at the last minute.
This is where the fun begins. I've got to be really, really quick. It's a little bit like building a croque and bouche, and my daughter had one of those for her wedding.
And to top it off, flavours that bring out the best of mango. A sugar syrup made from fresh mint and passion fruit.
And then just a little bit of mint here and there. It's light, it's exotic, it's perfect for a crowd on a lovely summer's day. How about sorbet? Do you enjoy it? I think we've got enough for everyone. I think it's girls first. There we are.
Thank you.
And you must tell us just what you think of it. There we are.
Thank you. It's really nice.
Next time, how to turn the everyday into something truly indulgent.
It's sheer heaven on a plate. I think it's my most favourite hot pudding.
I'm Mary Berry, and in this series I'll be celebrating the very best of my everyday cooking. Day-to-day cooking needn't be mundane. Even the simplest recipes can be a joy. I want to show you easy ways to transform dishes into something really special. From my fabulous crowd pleasers.
How about sorbet? I think we've got enough for everyone.
To old favourites that stir fond memories.
Welcome home, Mary.
I'm here to stay.
And my hearty, wholesome delights.
Wow, look at that.
In this programme, how to turn the everyday into something truly indulgent.
Top-end pie, we'll call it. We all have times when we want to spoil ourselves. Come on, my man, let's get going. Break off.
Break off.
All right.
I love the food I cook, and I try to keep it deliciously healthy. But sometimes I'm in the mood to add a little bit of naughtiness to the mix.
We all deserve a little indulgence from time to time.
So for this programme, I'll be showing you my go-to recipes for days when salad just won't do. A pasta dish with more than a hint of indulgence, my crusty pie oozing with delight, a steak recipe that's our guilty pleasure, and a wickedly comforting dessert. But first, my delectable fish cakes with a melting surprise in the middle.
This is a recipe I think you'll love and you'll come back and do again and again. It does take time, a little bit more than the normal fish cake, but gosh, it's worth it.
Start off with a nice fillet of smoked haddock.
Over like that, and just pinch it. Imagine it's a Cornish pasty. In that goes at 180, and it will take about 15 minutes or so.
While that cooks, I'll show you what sets these apart.
Now this is where these fish cakes are different, because I'm going to do a runny sauce filling in the middle.
The base of this rich sauce is a roux. Remember, equal quantities of butter and flour. My top tip here is what you do with the milk.
I find adding hot milk means that you get a much smoother sauce, so little by little. Now that's just the consistency I want. Beautifully smooth.
To make it truly luxurious, pep it up with a squeeze of lemon, half a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, 25 grams of freshly grated parmesan.
You can imagine this is really tasty and very special.
And some chopped parsley and season.
That is going to be beautifully tasty in the middle, and it's going to be a lovely surprise as you cut through.
While that cools, let's see how my delicious smoked haddock is getting on.
Gosh, it smells good.
Adding the flavoursome juices is a simple way to give the sauce a lift.
Then you just peel that skin off, and it comes off like a dream. We don't have a cat in our household, but you always say you keep it for the cat.
Loosely flake the fish and combine it with that great staple, mashed potato.
And it's about equal mash to fish. If you want to make it more economical, you add more potato.
Once it's well mixed, roll into 4 good-sized balls.
Gosh, it reminds me of bread making this. And now for the clever bit. So take each one and then make a hole in there. I don't want to go through to the bottom. I'm being very, very careful. And sort of pinch it. You see there?
Then simply spoon in that indulgent, creamy sauce and fold over the top.
Leaving no holes at all. So you've got a sort of ball shape.
Carefully squash them into a traditional fish cake shape before coating in flour, egg, and panko breadcrumbs. If you have time, chill the fish cakes before you fry them. It helps them to stay firm.
So keep an eye on them. We're going to get them nicely golden brown.
Once they're a beautiful, even colour, pop them in the oven at 180 fan for about 15 minutes.
And now for the moment of truth. Oh, look at that. It's got a beautiful, soft, mellow sauce in the middle. That's a far cry from the basic fish cake, perfect for an everyday supper.
After all my years of cooking, I still delight in bringing together simple, everyday ingredients to create a thing of pure indulgence, like this heavenly pasta dish.
This recipe is deliciously rich, and I go back to it time and time again. This is orzo pasta. You may not be familiar with it, but I think it's delicious when it's well flavoured. It looks like long grain rice, but it's pasta, and in it all goes.
Cook the orzo for about 9 minutes, and while that boils away, fry an onion in butter until it's soft.
Turn the heat down and let it look after itself.
Now I can prepare a couple of my favourite ingredients that will really make this dish. 2 fat cloves of garlic and lemon zest.
I've got a lemon tree that I'm growing, I have to say, without too much success. I bring it inside in the winter, I feed it, but this year there are no lemons on it. I'll have to try harder next year.
4 minutes before the orzo is cooked, in go 200 grams of petit pois and frozen baby broad beans. Shell them if you've got time.
Right, the onion is doing well. If it's taken a little bit of colour, that's fine. Then I'm going to add to that the garlic. The pasta is ready. I'm just going to drain that. Tip that straight in.
For depth of flavour, I need 50 grams of parmesan.
If you press lightly on the grater, I like those long threads, and it's a little bit different, and the flavour really comes through. That, I reckon, is about 50 grams, give or take.
Thyme has a wonderful, intense flavour, and I think it goes perfectly with Mediterranean dishes.
I love the smell. If you actually chop the leaves, it's much more aromatic, and it'll give much more flavour to that. In it goes. I'm going to add some pepper and a little salt.
In goes the juice of a lemon and the zest, and half of that fresh parmesan.
Doesn't that look good? This is where you add a touch of luxury. This is creme fraiche, full fat, of course, and there it goes, absolutely delicious. This is indulgent. We're spoiling ourselves.
Sprinkle over the rest of the parmesan, and to give it that final richness, a handful of toasted pine nuts.
Well, I, for one, can't wait to get stuck in. A great family dish, but it's a little bit naughty and nice.
One of my husband Paul's greatest joys is to drive through the countryside in an old classic car. I love it too, as long as there's a great picnic at the end.
It couldn't be a more perfect day, could it? England as it should be, in glorious sunshine. I could get used to this.
And what could be better on a picnic than a good old British pie? I don't indulge in them very often, but when I feel like a bit of a treat, there's nothing I love more. We've stopped in Tame in Oxfordshire to meet Tom Newitt, whose family's been making pies for over 50 years.
So, Tom, what's your secret for the very best pie?
Traditionally locally sourced ingredients, a good mix of gravy and meat and local flour, of which we will then make our own pastry, but also putting a good filling in and a good weight of filling.
You've got every size, every flavour.
Well, thank you, Mary, yes. We also have some very unusual ones which are named after my children. For Charlotte, we did a sausage and bean pie with mash, which was her favourite as a child. Do try that.
Certainly looks good. That is a very different pie, but I can understand how Charlotte loves them. I think I love it too.
Good. And it's especially nice for children to have for tea.
Well, I don't know about children. I'm ready to have another bite.
Pies date back to Roman times, and some say as early as ancient Egypt. But there's something terribly British about these pastry-wrapped parcels. Mind you, I've never had to make them at this speed.
I'm going to put that, can I just pop it there for a moment? That goes on top.
Yeah.
Now you start me off. Oh, gosh.
Fast from inside.
That really is getting a good seal. Oh.
That's right.
So how many an hour am I supposed to do?
We need to see you hit the 30 mark at least, Mary, really.
Now this is quite difficult.
A lifetime of cooking has taught me no pie will work without the perfect pastry scene.
I don't think I'd be employed very long. I'd be a bit slow. I think you better go around and tidy it up. That's better.
Okay.
Right, and what's next?
And then we go to press.
There we are. Does that go in there? Okay.
That's it, that comes down. Pull it down.
On your marks.
On your marks,
set,
go.
Pull.
And then release.
There we are. And it's done a good trimming job.
Well, I think as you've made that one, Mary, I think you need to take that one home.
Well, I think it's quite a beauty.
It's very nice.
With a steak pie for supper and a couple of Scotch pies for lunch, it's time to go in search of that idyllic picnic spot.
Very good idea to stop here.
You ready for a pie? Absolutely cram jam full of meat.
Very nice.
Smells perfect. There we are. First a British. Come on, have a
Well,
try.
that's very kind. Thank you very much. It's very nice. This is the top end of the market.
Top end pie, we'll call it.
When it comes to a pie, we all have our own favourite. Mine uses simple ingredients with spectacular results.
It's absolutely scrumptious. It's quite rich. There's a lot of cheese. I brought out the flavour with mustard. Let me just show you.
So to start off with, fry a couple of leeks and an onion in butter. In goes 50 grams of flour.
Just coat the onion and leek with that.
And 600 ml of hot milk.
It should be the sort of consistency that it coats the back of a spoon.
What lifts this pie out of the ordinary is the cheese, so don't hold back. 50 grams of mature cheddar and the same of Parmesan.
So you see, a little bit naughty and very rich, but jolly good.
Add some finely chopped thyme and season well.
The cheese will be quite salty, so you don't need too much.
And you know how I love mustard with cheese.
I'm using French Dijon mustard, so in that goes. Doesn't that look good? All that's needed now is the potato.
I've cubed and cooked about 450 grams.
Now that's got to go stone cold before I put the pastry on it, but it's very important at this stage to actually taste it, because once the lid of the pastry's on, you can't alter it. Oh, it's scrumptious. I'm going to make my own pastry for the pie. It's a quick, flaky pastry.
I'm going to show you how to make perfect flaky pastry every time. The trick is to make sure the fat is as cold as it can be. So to 350 grams of flour, grate in 125 grams of cold lard.
And because it's so cold, it isn't getting all over me, and it makes good pastry.
And then exactly the same with very cold butter. Grating the fat helps to ensure a really good result.
And I'll need about 150 ml of cold water. And then I want to get some air in the pastry. We've got the air in the pastry through grating the fat, but now I'm going to do it by rolling it out and building layers.
We want a lovely, light pastry, so the more air you can get in, the better.
Now I'm trapping the air in by pressing the two ends, like that, and then like that. A little bit wider. Take the end again, fold it over, turn it round, and do that 2 more times.
Once you've finished, wrap it up and chill in the fridge for at least half an hour.
Now we're bringing it all together and we're on the final stretch, so.
I've got one last trick to really make the perfect crust.
I'm going to put a strip of pastry around the edge so it looks well risen. Then I'm going to put in the middle this blackbird. I always used to use a handleless cup because that's what my mother did. It was a viewer who actually sent me one of these because she felt sorry for me, so I've used it ever since, just to support the pastry and make it just that little bit higher than the filling.
With the lid on, all that remains are my finishing touches. Bake in the oven at 200 fan for about 40 minutes.
I'm really chuffed with it. Let's have a go. Oh, doesn't that look tempting? Whoops. I like to serve it with a few beans. And yes, they've got a little bit of butter on top too. There we are. The smell is wonderful. I can't wait to try. That really is scrumptious.
Paul spent most of his working life in antiques, and it's a passion we both share. When we have time, there's nothing we enjoy more than looking for that little something to add to our collection.
Lots of treasures here, I hope. Oh, looking round, Paul, this is meat and drink to me. Wow, you've got a pair of these, don't you love them?
Yes.
Big and bold.
Paul's particular interests have always been books and art, and of course sport. Even when it comes to antiques, my passion never strays too far from the kitchen.
Oh, there's some nice glass here. Look at these dear little cups. I think they were called custard cups. You know, for something like Caledonian cream or posset.
Doesn't hold very much, does it?
Well, that's a good thing when it's very, very rich and creamy.
Yeah.
We'll be up these stairs. And a good fish kettle here. £495. Do you know, I think this would be really useful at the right price too.
After a day of treats, what better way to end than a memorable supper? And there are two recipes I come back to time and again.
On Saturday night, when it's just Paul and me, I like to do something special. I've got fillet steak here. Now, this is beautifully marbled. That means that it's going to be full of flavour.
A good tip is to flatten the steak first.
It looks like you've got a bigger steak on the plate for a start, and I find it easier to get the middle just right. I know that 2 minutes each side is just about right to be pink in the middle. I find it best to butter the steak rather than putting it into the pan, which means that all the butter runs down the ridges and burns.
This is my secret for a perfect result, but make sure the pan is searing hot.
So expect quite a bit of sizzling when I put it in.
Just before 2 minutes are up, repeat the trick with the butter.
So over with the second side. Did I use a steak to woo my husband? No, I didn't use steak to woo my husband. I used to persuade him to take me out because I thought I'd like him to marry me for other other things other than being a good cook.
Once cooked, put aside and allow to rest. Now for my wonderful peppercorn sauce. Don't waste those buttery steak juices. Add them to 100 ml of beef stock.
Turn that on and let it just reduce.
To make this sauce truly scrumptious, into the stock goes half a grated clove of garlic, a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, and 1 of Worcester sauce.
This makes it really piquant.
And for a bit of naughtiness, 2 tablespoonfuls of brandy.
I'm not going to do any of that flambe lark because I'm bound on a Saturday night to catch the kitchen on fire because I've usually had a glass of wine in my hand. We'll just not do any of that.
In goes 150 ml of pouring double cream.
Give it a little whisk there.
And finally, half a teaspoon of crushed peppercorns. Of all the sauces to serve with steak, peppercorn is my absolute favourite.
I could have that with any grilled meat. Chops, steaks. I even put it on sausages, it's so good. That's just how I like it.
And there you have it, my fillet steak with peppercorn sauce.
Absolutely perfect for a Saturday night.
And what better way to finish off a special evening? This may be decadent, but it's blissfully easy to bake.
I like any excuse to make a pudding, and the more indulgent the better. My sticky toffee pudding is very dark. It is because I put quite a bit of this wonderful black treacle. You know, we often only use it for Christmas cake, don't we? But it's in this pudding, it just makes it. So down to business. Take a bowl and put everything in all at once.
First, in goes 100 grams of softened butter.
Make sure you do use butter. Don't attempt to use anything low-fat. What's the point when you're having a very rich pudding?
175 grams of light muscovado sugar.
Couple of eggs.
.225 grams of self-raising flour and 1 level teaspoon of baking powder.
This is an important part of the recipe. If you put too much, it'll rise up and fall down again. And 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, in like that. Next, that gorgeous black treacle. Isn't it a wonderful shine on it?
You need 275 ml of milk, but start off with a good splash.
If you haven't got a mixer, you'll have to cream the butter and sugar to start with and then add all the other ingredients.
Add the rest of the milk and continue mixing for about 30 seconds.
That's done. Does have a slightly curdled look about it. That doesn't matter one bit. It bakes beautifully.
Pour that rich mixture into a well-greased baking dish. It's already very tempting.
Push that towards the edges. Oh dear, I seem to have just left a bit on the side.
That goes in the oven at 160 fan for about 35 minutes.
Now for the sauce. It is really wicked. Rather like making the sponge, everything in the bowl, this is everything in the pan, so very easy.
First, in goes 100 grams of butter, followed by 125 grams of light muscovado sugar.
Then black treacle, yes, more black treacle, more indulgence. I've measured a tablespoon here.
Then add a teaspoon of vanilla extract.
And And then, as we are being very extravagant, how about 300 ml of double cream? Turn on the heat and don't leave it, stay by it and stir. Oh, it's a really lovely smell coming up. So half of that will go over the pudding and half of it will go in my newfound jug. I really love this. It's well balanced. It was quite a find. Well, it doesn't get better than that.
Cover the pudding with a thin layer of my heavenly sauce.
How about that then? Doesn't that look wonderful? Oh, I'll catch the sauce there. And believe it or not, I'm putting extra sauce on it. Over the top. Look at that shine. I can almost see my face in it. It's sheer heaven on a plate. I think it's my most favourite hot pudding.
Next time,
You don't have to get that wet.
my everyday dishes to delight the people who eat my food the most. My family.
Not bad, is it?
Very, very good.
I'm Mary Berry, and in this series I'll be celebrating the very best of my everyday cooking. Day-to-day cooking needn't be mundane. Even the simplest recipes can be a joy. I want to show you easy ways to transform dishes into something really special. From my hearty, wholesome delights,
Wow, look at that.
to my truly indulgent treats,
It's sheer heaven on a plate.
and those fabulous crowd pleasers.
How about sorbet? I think we've got enough for everyone.
In this programme, my everyday recipes inspired by the people who eat my food the most. My family.
Not bad, is it?
Very, very good.
There's nothing more important to me than my family. Gosh, we're lucky with the weather today, Annabelle.
It's amazing.
And when we all get together, we have such fun.
You don't have to get that wet.
They're a hungry lot, and they keep me on my toes when it comes to what they like to eat.
How about that?
So in this programme, I'll be showing you how to make your family's meal just a little bit more interesting. A wonderful way to brighten up an everyday salad, perfect for a hot summer's day. One of our favourites, chicken, but served with a bit of a kick. A brilliant idea to make your fish pie extra special. And an old classic that's more than stood the test of time. But first, a no-fuss supper bursting with flavour.
When I go to an Italian restaurant, I nearly always have melanzane. I love it because it's just tomatoes and aubergine and cheese, but I've got a version to make it with pasta, which makes it really more substantial for the family. If you soften the pasta first, it's as crisp as can be. and you put that in hot water, it begins to soften, and also you can break it when you put it in the dish quite easily.
While the pasta softens, slice 2 good-sized aubergines. Coat evenly in olive oil and seasoning. Then pop them in the oven at 180 fan for about 20 minutes.
So there are 2 sauces for this, a white sauce and a tomato sauce. First of all, I'm going to make the white sauce.
We begin with a simple roux with 50 grams of butter and the same amount of flour.
So I've just cooked that for a few moments, and I'm going to add the milk, little by little.
For a good white sauce, always heat the milk first and then add slowly, as it helps to get a really smooth result. That's a pint in total.
I think people get into real trouble by having cold milk and adding it too quickly. This way, it really works a treat, and it's the way that I always make a white sauce. Look at that. I'm pleased.
To turn this into a rich cheese sauce, I'm adding Dijon mustard, pepper and salt, and some delicious Parmesan.
I've got 100 grams of Parmesan cheese. I'm adding 2/3 of it. There it is, just enough to keep to go all over the top. Now on to the tomato sauce. You're going to be really pleased about this because there's no cooking, it's just assembling things together.
All I do is make a really well-flavoured tomato sauce, which will cook in the oven with the dish.
I like to have the mixture because you get a bit of texture.
In go 2 teaspoons of caster sugar, a couple of crushed cloves of garlic, and give it a lift with a little seasoning.
Just give it a good stir. Just needs some fresh basil, which makes it very Italian. There's nothing I like more than cooking for the family, and I like to do it in quantities too. I'll very likely make 2 of these and put 1 in the freezer and have 1 for supper. I think it's because I was trained originally in catering, so I'm never put off by cooking for numbers. Just give that a stir. Just checking that that lasagna is not sticking together. No, it's not, but look how flexible it's become.
With the aubergines looking gorgeous and golden brown, I can get on with the assembling.
Now, this is where I have to concentrate.
Begin with about 1/3 of the tomato and basil sauce on the base, and then add a few dollops of the rich cheese sauce.
And I like it to be separate because it looks better when you're actually serving it. So I've got my 2 sauces. Now I need to put the aubergines, and it doesn't matter a bit if some of these overlap. They just want to be fairly even. Then you need a layer of pasta. And remember, I soaked the pasta, which made it much easier.
Make sure the pasta goes right to the edges.
If you overlap it, the pasta doesn't cook evenly. That's logical, isn't it? So you can see I've done it beautifully there, and with the greatest of ease because it's all soft.
Simply repeat the process for another couple of layers.
So this is the last third. And this is really quite a substantial family meal in one pot. Now I'm going to put some Parmesan cheese over the top. And I would very likely make this in the morning for the evening, put cling film over the top and have it in the fridge. It's a lovely feeling if you've had a busy day with the family that it's done, and all you've got to do is to put it in the oven, and then you can go and have a drink on the side or play with the young or do what you like.
Pop in the oven at 180 fan for about 40 to 45 minutes. This is a perfect idea to liven up the supper table.
That looks amazing, and I certainly cannot wait to try it. The spoon's going through beautifully. Wow, look at that. I think it looks most tempting. I could have this twice over. It is absolutely delicious.
While the family play, I'm taking Annabelle and Atalanta to have a go at making goat's cheese, starting with the milk. Bear with me.
So, Atalanta, have you ever milked a goat?
No, I've never milked anything.
You've never milked anything?
We kept goats during the war, which my mother used to milk. But the one thing we never did was to make cheese. So all this is rather new to me.
Hello. Look who's here.
Oh.
And who is this?
This is Bee.
Hello, Bee. So will you show me how to milk her?
Of course.
Right.
You squeeze at the top and then run your fingers down, just like that. Would you like to have a go? Reach and squeeze, and reach and squeeze.
Well done, Atty.
You've done really well. I don't think I'll do nearly as well as that.
Right, here's my moment.
So you just...
Do you know you were better at... Come on, Bee, it's only me. Shall I pop this underneath again? Whoopsie. Yes, we're going to be friends.
Sorry.
Granny's lost her goat.
Goats can provide over 3 litres of milk a day, and it's the most consumed milk in the world. But there's not much chance of getting any more from Bee today.
Come on round.
Hello, my beauty. So see what joy we get from Annabelle.
That's it.
Oh, look at that. I could write my name in it. There we are.
Very good, Mum.
Not bad, eh?
It takes a lot more milk to make a hard cheese than a soft one. So for the soft cheese I want to make, we're going to need 4 pints.
Thank you very much, Karen. And Annabelle, you've done us proud.
Thanks, Mum.
And the other one too. Go on, off we go.
Good girl.
Cheese making in the UK is at an all-time high, and there's a rise in popularity of making it at home too. So we're giving it a go. And I must confess, we did need a top-up.
Steady hand is needed.
The only ingredients you need apart from the goat's milk are sea salt and citric acid, which you dissolve in water.
Drizzle the citric acid solution into the milk, stirring thoroughly. You can be the stirrer. How about that, Etty?
We've got to bring it all to 180 Fahrenheit, and the curd should begin to separate from the whey.
This is very exciting.
It is very exciting.
It's just beginning to separate. It's the curds, which is the solid part, and the whey, which is the runny part.
After half an hour, off the heat, you can pour it through a muslin cloth.
It's all solid at the top.
Wow.
And what have we got? The whey at the bottom.
A good goat's cheese needs salt, and I'm adding fresh thyme for extra flavour.
I'm full of anticipation now because it has separated beautifully. Here it goes.
That looks brilliant. We're going to tie it up and drain it a little bit, and then shall we hang it on a tree?
It needs to hang for half an hour to drain off the last of the moisture.
We'll come back and then we'll have some magic cheese. How much fun is that? Good teamwork.
In my book, the secret to feeding the family is keeping it uncomplicated and interesting at the same time. This sumptuous one-pot wonder fits the bill perfectly.
It's often difficult thinking of different meals to serve to the family, especially when time is short, and I think I've got an answer. It's sort of a cheats fish pie.
This is a real favourite of mine, and it's remarkably simple to make. Start with 350 grams of potatoes and bring to the boil.
Meanwhile, I'm going to skin the fish. Take a knife, start from the tail end, and do a sawing action all the way along, and the skin should come off very easily. And you're very unlikely to go through the skin because it's tough. When I was at college, I worked in a fishmonger's, and they taught me all about fish. And so when I see something like this, I can tackle it with lots of confidence. That's it. And then, you never know, if you feel here, there might be a bone. In our house, he that sits at the end of the table nearly always gets a bone in his fish pie, and quietly he puts it at the edge of the plate, as much as to say, you didn't take that extra care, I don't comment.
I like to cut the haddock into good, generous pieces. Once the potato has had about 4 minutes, pop in the cauliflower florets. You'll want to make sure they still have bite in them.
You need something with fish when it's white potato, white cauliflower and off-white fish.
So to set off the colour and flavour of the fish, I'm using masses of fresh chives and parsley. Drain the vegetables well and tip them into an oven-proof dish.
Then I'm going to put just a soupçon of salt over the top of there, a little bit of pepper.
Now for my favourite bit. Grate 100 grams of nutty Gruyere cheese and sprinkle half over the vegetables.
As it heats, it'll become a little bit stringy because it's Gruyere cheese.
Then you can scatter over those beautiful herbs.
So the next thing I'm going to do is to add the fish and just mask the whole of the top of it with the fish. If you've got any thin bits of fish there, make sure that they point towards the centre because the heat will come from the side. So thickest at the outside. It's a little bit like a jigsaw here. I'm just pushing them in. And I can tuck that one with its tail underneath. And all that remains is for me to put a very easy sauce over the top.
This is a time-saving trick for a creamy sauce. All you need do is whisk a heaped tablespoonful of corn flour with 300 ml of pouring cream.
And mix it really well so it's got no lumps. If you use corn flour, it gives a good shine to the sauce and it's rather smoother than using flour. Little there. Fairly evenly, just pulling it to one side, and it'll find its way to the bottom. There couldn't be an easier sauce than that.
Then sprinkle the last of that rich Gruyere cheese over the top.
And to add extra colour, I'm going to put a little paprika. So a little pinch of that all over. That goes into the oven at 180 fan and it'll take about 20 minutes. Bubbling at the edges, it's a gorgeous brown colour, should be done. What I'm liking is to see all those herbs in there. It looks good and it tastes even better. Great for all the family. Eat more out of doors, don't they?
They do. Well, they burn
And we'll
up
have to watch this little person because she'll think a picnic is great, won't she? Hello, come on then. Oh, were you waiting?
Cheers, Mum.
Cheers.
Happy days.
But there's no rest for the wicked.
While the children are playing happily, I'm going to get on with lunch. And what could be better on a gorgeous day like this than a salad?
This isn't just any old salad, it's bursting with flavours and textures. And what really gives it a lift is the dressing. Start with a couple of tablespoons of white wine vinegar, some fresh thyme, and a couple of teaspoons of runny honey.
This really gives the dressing a lift. It sweetens it and it goes really well with the fennel.
Add some good olive oil.
As you stir it, it'll just blend in beautifully. No, a little bit more. Or as my husband would say, a drop. You can't have a bit of liquid as he pours the wine.
To give a little sharpness, I want the zest and the juice of half a lemon.
Really good squeeze.
Finish it off with half a clove of garlic. Next, finely chop 1 bulb of fennel, and the trick is to put it straight into the dressing so it can marinate.
And the other thing I'm going to put in there are these lentil sprouts. I'm putting all things that are sort of tough into the dressing so that the flavour will really get into them. So in goes these sprouts here. They give a little bit of crunch, and as you can see, it is a lovely mixture. I'll leave that to one side. Now to the other ingredients.
I love the texture of cucumber in a salad, but you don't want it too wet. So make sure you remove all the seeds.
Daddy, what's for lunch?
Fennel. A melon salad. Is it one of your things that you like most in the world? I do too.
Now for a wonderfully plump watermelon. I use about a quarter in the salad, although today it might be a little less.
One for Louis. One for
Mummy.
Right, is that enough?
I think your husband's there as well.
Well, you mean your grandpa?
Yes.
Should we? He doesn't like it anyway so much, so there you are. Off you go. Now to bring it all together. In goes all the marinated fennel. Now the secret is to leave that to go on soaking up that wonderful dressing. Then start building the other things on top.
First to go on are the crisp leaves of 2 little gem lettuce. Next, that fresh watermelon and cucumber.
Also, I'm just going to put a little bit of pepper and salt as I build up these layers. In goes the lamb's lettuce. That's it. A few spring onions going in there. And lastly, more melon. Doesn't it look lovely, the colour? And I think that looks most tempting. So it's absolutely ready to serve.
Okay, lunch is ready. Come on, Atty, you can go first. First one gets the sausages.
My fennel and watermelon salad goes down a treat.
There's watermelon in there, Daddy.
Is it? Lovely.
Yeah.
My favourite.
While the children eagerly tuck in, I can't wait to sample our very own goat's cheese. Just perfect with bruschetta and tomatoes, seasoned with thyme.
And look at it. Isn't that perfect? Well, there we are, Tom. You couldn't have fresher goat's cheese than that.
That's amazing. Give it a go.
Not bad, is it?
Very, very good.
The goat's cheese is really good. Actually, you definitely did a good job.
Well done, Atty. Even though we weren't brilliant at milking, we managed to get some, didn't we?
It's so important to keep family meals interesting with fresh ideas. And my next recipe is a glorious, colourful stir-fry, just perfect for a weekday supper, and it's so simple to make.
I've called this dish Penang chicken stir-fry. It's a little bit spicy, and my lot think it's really good. Let me get going.
Start off with 225 grams of long grain rice. While that bubbles away, I can fry off the chicken, and my secret weapon is a drizzle of honey.
And the reason that I've added honey is it helps it to brown quickly. If you don't put honey in, it takes a long time to brown and you overcook the chicken. And look at that, isn't it coming a gorgeous colour very quickly? Don't be tempted to cook it any longer.
Use the same pan, splash in some olive oil, and we're ready to stir-fry the veg. What could be easier?
One good size onion, in it goes. Just let it soften.
A couple of sticks of finely diced celery, red pepper, and a courgette.
Give that a turn. So that's looking beautifully colourful.
What makes this dish really sing are the spices I add, which get soaked up by all the vegetables, starting with fresh ginger.
I don't like to chop it because somebody's going to get bits of it and you don't get a really good infusion of the flavour. That looks perfect. In goes the ginger.
Next add crushed garlic, curry powder, and the juice of half a lime.
Then I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of soy sauce. 1, 2, 3. 1 of chilli sauce. Give that a stir.
Now it's time for the all-important rice, and I have an excellent tip to keep it light and fluffy.
I'm just going to wash that through because if there's any surplus starch, I don't want it. So that wasn't too difficult, was it?
Toss it all together so the rice really takes on all the flavours in the pan. And finally, in goes the chicken, juices and all.
And that's ample for 4 people. Not too expensive, and I promise you, very delicious. I think that looks really tempting. It's a good family meal, makes every day a little bit special.
As much as I adore trying out new and exciting recipes with the family, there are some everyday classics I return to time and time again.
I've always loved traditional rice pudding. I had it as a child, I made it for my own children, and now I make it for the grandchildren. It's amazing you can make such a delicious pudding out of such easy ingredients.
I've got 1.5 pints of full cream milk, which I just want to heat.
You can do it from cold milk, but it gets going quicker if you use hot. That's it. Then the rice. I've got 75 grams and it's short grain rice. It absorbs the milk better than the long grain rice. That's why we use it. So I'm just going to put that in like that.
A jolly good tablespoonful of caster sugar.
I've really well buttered the dish. Not only does that make it easier to clean, it also enriches it.
Once the milk is piping hot, but you mustn't let it boil. Simply pour over the top.
Give that a good stir, because at the moment the rice is all at the bottom. Rice pudding is something so simple to make and it's all in one dish, less to wash up.
The secret to a good rice pud is a long, slow cook at 140 fan. After about half an hour, there'll be a light skin on top. Carefully give it a gentle stir.
Now, by no means is the rice done. It's just beginning to absorb the milk. Now, if you like nutmeg, and that's traditional and classic, just grate a little on top. So just a light dusting of nutmeg. It's very aromatic. It's a lovely flavour.
Back in the oven it goes at the same heat for a couple of hours, and I can't wait for the result.
The memories come flowing back of one's childhood. That skin is just perfect. You either love the skin or you loathe the skin. I just love it. All that needs is a nice dollop of jam. That's it. Wow. Here goes. That is absolutely beautiful. It's creamy, it's piping hot, it's scrumptious, and I want some more.
Next time, my surprisingly easy showstoppers for when you really want to show off.
Feels like firework day. How about that then? I have finally succumbed to a blowtorch.
I'm Mary Berry, and in this series I'll be celebrating the very best of my everyday cooking. Day-to-day cooking needn't be mundane. Even the simplest recipes can be a joy. I want to show you easy ways to transform dishes into something really special. From my favourite treats to indulge with,
It's sheer heaven on a plate.
to recipes that stir sweet memories.
Welcome home, Mary.
I'm here to stay.
And some old and new ways to excite the family.
Granny's lost her goat.
In this programme, my extravagant ideas to give the everyday a special sparkle.
I have finally succumbed to a blowtorch.
It's not every day you get to show off, but now and then I want to push the boat out and make something extra fancy for friends and family. This year is a very special anniversary. It's 50 years since Paul and I tied the knot. To mark our golden year, we've all sorts of celebrations planned. It's a wonderful opportunity to add real flair to some of my everyday favourites. A glamorous way to jazz up some plain little cupcakes. And to make your meal more elegant, a very sleek idea for salmon. A mouth-watering way to serve an ordinary rack of lamb. And a truly dazzling finale. But first, a stunning idea for a dish that will really impress.
For me, showing off is all about dishes that look spectacular, and you couldn't get more glamorous than these king prawns, and they certainly are the best.
King prawns add a touch of class to my spiced rice. It's all about how you present them.
I like to take the shell off the back and the tail. Leaving the head on, I think, makes them far more glamorous. First of all, you take the legs off, and then the back shell will come off almost in one piece, if you're lucky. And then you just gently ease off the tail. And you're left with a complete prawn with its head on.
What they need now is an easy marinade of just garlic.
That's one big fat clove going in.
And a tablespoon of spicy harissa paste.
Now that is a very simple marinade, and it just adds flavour. You only need to do it for about 30 minutes. So I'll tip those into the bowl and then just turn them until they're coated. Do that carefully because we don't want to lose the heads of the prawns.
While they soak up the heat, I can prepare my spicy rice. Into fluffy basmati rice, go char-grilled artichokes.
You can get them from the deli counter or in a jar, so all those go in.
And sweet roasted peppers.
Then I'm going to add 8 ready-to-eat apricots.
Dried apricots bring a lovely fruitiness. And finally, a big bunch of fresh parsley and pepper and salt.
Give it a good stir, so mix that in.
Now we're ready to stir fry, and be sure to get the pan searing hot.
Prawns are one of the easiest things to stir fry. The main thing is to keep them turning in the pan. Be gentle, because those heads will drop off. Don't they look glorious? They do look a touch of glamour. Something really special.
The secret to prawns is never to overcook them. Then, keeping the pan piping hot, tip in the rice.
The great thing about this is if you decided you wanted to cook those prawns on the barbecue, you could have this as a salad and not heat it through, and it would go very well.
Finish it off with a fragrant dressing flavoured with harissa, coriander and cumin.
So we've got a beautifully flavoured rice, and I'm just going to top it with those amazing prawns.
And there you have it, a simple dish given a touch of magic.
I think that looks positively exotic, and I'd be chuffed to bits to serve that to my pals.
Paul and I met when I was working on magazines. We married in 1966 in Chalcombe Church, just down the road from my parents.
How about a cup of tea?
Oh, lovely. Thank you. These are lovely, aren't they?
We haven't seen them for a wee while.
I've forgotten they were here. You were very slim and elegant in those days, weren't
Was
you?
I cheeky? Oh, gosh. And my dress, you know, it was bought in a sale, £5 it was. Good value, wasn't it?
Very nice, very nice.
You look
Yeah.
very smart.
Yeah, very
Bit
good.
more hair in those days.
So, do you remember when I first proposed?
I do remember the first proposal, and I think you were drunk.
Well, I might have. I mean, it's a big step. You don't go into something like that without a bit of fortification, you know.
I think you had too much, and I can remember telling you were drunk and thinking, I'm not having anything to do with this man. But you did come back.
I did, yes. And then the second time you said something similar. And then the third time, I think I said, from memory, I can't go on like this. I said, I'm getting on in age. You know, sort of either it's yes or no.
I can remember that too. I did say yes, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Mm. I know it bucketed with rain after the reception, which was a blessing in disguise because nobody came out to doctor the car. I think there was a potato up the exhaust pipe, but that's about all.
Well, it all seemed to be quite a palaver to you. Would you do it again?
I think I would, yes, yes. Knowing now what I possibly didn't know then, because you're taking a risk, aren't you?
Well, you thought you were, obviously.
As you said, you weren't too sure.
No, I wouldn't go back. I'm very happy. And it was for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer.
Yeah.
And we've had some wonderful times.
Yes, we'll look after each other in our old age, I think.
Well, we're lucky to have each other.
But you've got to look after the older folk.
You've certainly become very interested in the older folk.
I baked our wedding cake myself. I've always loved baking for special occasions. My next recipe is a divine idea to transform a simple cupcake.
These are Lemony cupcakes, which I've added some freeze-dried strawberries to. So it's all a bit of a surprise when you get inside.
This is a nice, easy, all-in-one sponge. So, 2 eggs, 100 grams of baking spread.
You could use butter if you prefer, but it's got to be soft.
150 grams of caster sugar, and the same of self-raising flour.
Then I'm going to grate some lemon in there, just the zest of an unwaxed lemon.
And finally, 3 tablespoons of milk. And the ingredient that takes these out of the everyday.
Freeze-dried strawberries, and you get a wonderful flavour of the strawberry, and it's lovely to come across.
And then whisk together until pale and creamy. I've got a couple of tricks to make the perfect cupcake.
If you stand them in a muffin tin or a bun tin, that means they'll keep us perfect shape.
And I use an ice cream scoop.
It's quite useful to do it this way when you're doing quite a lot, and it's a way of getting them all even. So there's the last one. So those go into the oven, 160 fan, for about 18 or 20 minutes. And now for the topping. It's an unconventional topping. It's a meringue.
Whisk 2 egg whites in a spotlessly clean bowl until they look like clouds. Then slowly add 100 grams of caster sugar, still on full speed.
That is perfect.
Once the cupcakes are done, I need them completely cold before I get to the fun bit.
This is the exciting part because it's different from all the other cupcakes.
I'm giving each cake a luscious lemon curd surprise.
I'm making quite a big hole because I want to get quite a bit of lemon curd in there. Then take the lemon curd and put it in the middle. You can imagine these are going to be really good.
To top it off, my touch of flamboyance.
It's as light as a feather, a bit like a lemon meringue pie. Now we come to the swirling. So just spread those quite carefully to the edge, and then you want the most wonderful sort of swirly top.
And for the finishing touch,
I have finally succumbed to a blowtorch. I've always had a grill up until now, but I have to admit that it's rather efficient. They look really spectacular. I reckon these are a real show-off, perfect for that special tea. Do you know, that's wickedly delicious.
When it comes to getting showy, one of my oldest friends, Shirley, and I had great fun working as home economists back in the 60s.
Sorry about the dog. Oh, Shirley, how lovely to see you.
So, for my golden anniversary dinner tonight, we're going to bring a 60s theme to some canapes.
Right, Shirley, let's get down to it. I thought it would be a good idea to do some canapes as we used to do. I did things like asparagus rolls and got out the old piping bag.
I did a grapefruit with toothpick sticking out with a little cube of cheese and a little pickled onion and stick it in a grapefruit.
Asparagus rolls were absolutely the most up-to-date things to do, and you'd use something like a can of asparagus.
I've forgotten about those.
The mere smell of it.
I know.
Believe it or not, 50 years ago, we thought tinned asparagus wrapped in brown bread and butter was quite the thing.
And sometimes for really posh parties, you put another piece in like that, and the butter made it stick. I thought it was sheer luxury at the time, didn't you?
Absolutely.
We also used to do those little discs of fried bread and then pipe on top of them. Fairly simple topping. I used to take bread and then take a cutter. I think in the 60s, we often had people coming round for drinks. I used to do these little canapes because not everybody was doing it and they loved all the different ideas.
I used cream cheese with butter, tomato puree and paprika to make a dashing pink piping mixture. And Shirley had her own winning formula.
We used to drain a can of sardines, put the sardines in with their skins and bones and everything, and some cream cheese and lemon juice and whiz it, and we'd have it on toast.
Well, that was very avant-garde, very new.
This isn't the first time Shirley's helped me to get ready for a big day.
This really takes me back, Mary, you and I working together like this.
I was thinking you and I on the wedding morning decorated the cake. Do you remember that?
I do.
And I can remember I had picked up some of the greenery from the garden and I put it all the way around the cake,
Absolutely.
2 layers.
Yeah,
because weddings in those days were so different from weddings now, wasn't it? I think we had about 100 people in what was a bit like an army tent, and we had sandwiches and things like that for tea. At 5 o'clock, we were off on honeymoon to Shipton under Witchwood. 3 days in the rain, and my husband wanted to learn fishing. Don't you think that's quite romantic? We've had some smashing holidays since, but that wasn't memorable. That's good. So Shirley, have our tastes changed over the years? Come on, have a try. All I can say is my tastes have definitely changed.
So have mine, Mary.
It's like overcooked vegetables, isn't it? What do you think?
Very overcooked.
I think I'll give that a miss.
Mine's going to join yours.
I'm not sure my 60s themed canopies will make the grade for tonight's party. But for a grand celebration supper, I'm giving 2 of my old favourites a brand new feel. Rack of lamb, and first, my gorgeous smoked salmon starter.
This is a brand new idea. You won't have seen it before, and already it's become one of my favourites.
This is a simple patty, served with a difference. Take a 7-inch square tin and line it with cling film, and it helps to wet the tin first.
And press it right into the corners like that. And because the tin is wet, it sticks. Now, I like this trick very much. Wait till you see the way I'm going to serve it. I want people to go ooh and ah when I bring this in.
I've got 300 grams of smoked salmon slices, and to begin with, I'm putting a neat layer right across the base.
And you can patch it up, put little pieces like that. Now, once you've done that, just gently press it down. Make sure you've covered the whole base. Now to the patty itself. You use all the salmon that is left. I'm going to put that into a processor.
Into that goes 75 grams of butter, 180 grams of cream cheese.
Now this is essential that it's full fat, otherwise it won't set enough to cut.
100 grams of creme fraiche. Again, it's got to be full fat. Now for a flavour that really sets it off.
Hot horseradish and a lot. That's what makes it. Horseradish and smoked salmon really do go well together.
Lastly, the juice of a small lemon, some black pepper, and it's ready to whiz.
Now, I'm really going to keep an eye on that. I do not want it to be a smooth pink patty. I want to see little bits of that salmon in it. That, I think, is perfect. Can you see there are flecks of the salmon? It's not a puree, it's not a mousse, it's a pate. Now I'm just going to taste that because it might need a little salt, but usually the actual salmon itself is fairly salty. It's a winner, you know. All I've got to do now is to put the pate into the tin that's ready. Now, to really show off, I'm going to put a layer of bright green chopped herbs on the top of that salmon pate.
Dill and parsley are perfect partners with all fish.
Press it down lightly into the pate.
The patty needs to chill in the fridge, and to be sure it cuts beautifully, put in the freezer for 45 minutes before serving, and you'll get the perfect finish.
And so I'm just going to turn that out 1, 2, 3, like that. Remove the tin. That's it. Remove the cling film. That's just how I wanted it to be. Important that you give it that freezing because it's firm to cut. And then I'm going to cut it into triangles. Straight down like that. And again across here. That's it. Now, the clever thing is to reverse it. If that's not a bit of showing off, I don't know what is.
After a delicate starter, what better to follow than my marinated rack of lamb with salsa verde?
Lamb is one of my favourite meats. It's great for a special occasion.
This is one of the luxury cuts, and I'll show you how to cook it to perfection every time. First, if your butcher hasn't already done so, remove the skin.
It means I can render that fat down, fry it off so it's not too fatty.
And then I like to score the fat to make sure it's really crisp.
Now for the marinade.
I'm using garlic, honey, and some lovely fresh lemon zest.
And that can go straight in there. A couple of tablespoonfuls of oil. Then I'm just going to mix all that together. That's it. And I'm going to put that in like that.
Give that a good 30 minutes to do its work. And then, as it's only in the oven for a short time, the secret is to seal the meat first.
Now this is going to brown very quickly because of the honey. And then in it goes. Press them down. I'm just going to look and see how that's doing. That is perfect. I'm looking for a really beautiful golden brown, and I've got it. So put the meat towards the outside and the bones towards the middle. If you put the bones up in the oven, they'll just all burn. So tuck them underneath like that.
I always season the meat before I cook it. And then into the oven, 200 fan, 20 minutes for pink, or 30 if you like it well done. As we're showing off, I'm going to serve this with something a bit unusual.
This salsa verde really does bring the lamb to life.
Start with the juice of a lemon, and then in goes a fat clove of garlic, followed by a perfect partner for lamb.
Anchovies. They're the sort that comes in a tin, and I've got about 8 here, and I'm going to cut those very, very small. They're salty and rich. In goes the sweet pickled cucumber with dill. They come in a jar like this, and I've used about 3.
A good salsa needs fresh herbs, parsley and basil.
Do you know, people sometimes say to me, what is the secret of a long and happy marriage? I think it's respect. And I think, you know, sometimes we really want to say our peace of mind when something hasn't gone quite well. I always think, I'll sleep on it and it will be all over by the morning. And my father wasn't a great one for advice, but he did say to Paul, he said, never let the day go by with a quarrel. Good thought.
Bring the salsa together with seasoning. A good teaspoon of runny honey to balance the sharpness, and 150 ml of olive oil.
Look at the bright green, I love it. You want to make it on the day that you're going to serve it with the lamb. That's the salsa verde done, and time is up. Wow, how about that? Absolutely perfect. So tempting, that gorgeous golden brown colour.
You want to let it rest so the meat gets beautifully tender, and I'm going to give this about 15 minutes.
And then we come to the carving. It's so easy because you just cut in between each bone and just look at that colour. Perfect. Now that really is something to show off, something for a celebration meal. Cheers, Charlotte. Who's going to be brave enough to try one of these? And they're exactly as I made in the 1960s. The asparagus is so pale, straight out of a can. We wouldn't do that nowadays, would we? Oh, Barry, well done. And never a crossword, you can be assured of that.
Our friends are gathering to share our golden wedding celebrations, and I've got the perfect idea to finish things off with a bang.
This is an amazing chocolate cake. I've called it reflection cake because it has a shiny icing that you can almost see your face in. So to the cake itself, it's wonderfully chocolatey. I find that using cocoa gives the finest flavour.
Start off with 50 grams of cocoa.
Then I'm going to add boiling water to it, and that cooks the cocoa and gives a better flavour to the cake. So about 6 tablespoons of boiling water in with the cocoa till it's a paste. And we want a nice thick paste.
It's an all-in-one sponge with 3 eggs, 250 grams of caster sugar, and 175 of self-raising flour. Then a teaspoon of baking powder and 100 grams of baking spread.
And you put it in all in one go.
All whisked together until light and creamy.
And that's all done.
Pop into 2 well-greased 20-centimetre tins, then into the oven at 160 fan for about 25 minutes. Once perfectly cooked, set aside and let them cool.
So now to the icing. It's a beautiful, shiny icing.
First, into a pan goes caster sugar and cocoa.
I'm just going to give those 2 a stir to start with.
Then add double cream, some water, and stir over the heat until smooth.
I love the smell of chocolate. So that's all dissolved, off with the heat.
I'm using dark chocolate, and once that's melted, I can add 7 sheets of softened gelatin.
Keep stirring until it's dissolved. If I didn't add gelatin, you wouldn't get that beautiful shine, and that's what we want.
The secret to my smooth mirror icing is to pour the mixture through a sieve and let it cool and thicken a little before you use it.
What a shine that's got. And then just any little lumps that are there, just squash them through. It does take time, but it's really worth it. You know, when you're wanting to show off a bit.
Now to bring it all together, I'm going to create a layered cake with a rich cream filling.
That's it. Doesn't that look amazing? You can imagine how wonderful it's going to be to eat. The cake becomes extra moist from the cream, and when you cut it, you get 1, 2, 3 layers, and it's pretty good. You don't get better than that.
Smooth round the edges and brush with apricot jam to help to achieve that mirror finish.
So just brush that over lightly. Now I'm going to chill that before I put the icing over the top. I chill it because it firms it up, and when the icing goes on, it likes to go on a cold surface. And now for the grand finale. We're on the homeward stretch, so I'm going to pour that over. Here goes. It's perfect, isn't it? Then just encourage it to go down the sides here. Drop it round. Now I'm going to take my palette knife, so I'm just going to see if I can get that absolutely smooth across the top. Now that's got to just set for a little while. A wing and a prayer, just lift it up like that, put it on. Up as centre as you can get, you've only got 1 chance. How about that then? My chocolate reflection cake. I might say I'm really proud of that. It took an awful lot of effort, but I think it's sheer perfection for that special occasion. Wow! Feels like firework day. How about that then? This should be the best chocolate cake you've ever tasted. Shall we just see?
I'd just like to drink to Mary and many more years of happy life.
Cheers. There you go.